Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. This is the 6th webinar of Turespaña together with Travel Magazine. And today it's about Let's Meet in Extremadura, or Extremadura, Let's Meet. For one time, the big boss of Turespaña, Rafael Chamorro, is excused. And of course, there is no better one to take his seat than Judith Portela. So good morning, Judith. It's up to you to present our protagonists, and welcome everybody who has joined us for this rather a bit special webinar, because Extremadura is not the most known region in Spain, but after 1 hour, I think we will all have the impression that it's a pity that we don't know better Extremadura. But the floor is yours, Judith, up to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Robert. Good morning, everyone. My name is Judith Portela, and I'm the person in charge of the promotion and the contact with the travel agents, the Spanish Tourist Office in Brussels. Our director, Rafael Chamorro, unfortunately cannot attend today, but I would like to thank on his behalf all of you for joining us today. And I would like to welcome Maria Cabanillas from Extremadura Turismo and Marco Mangut, an official tourist guide of the region. And as they will show us in a minute, Extremadura is a very interesting region in inland Spain that has so much to offer. There's gastronomy, culture, nature, active tourism, and it's all based on a sustainable model, which is very important to approach the new challenges our industry is facing nowadays and will face in the near future. I would like to thank once again the Travel Magazine team for helping us coordinating this event. And before giving the floor to Maria, I would like to remind you that you can ask any questions through the chat functionality, and the speakers will answer at the end of the presentation. So thank you very much, and Maria, it's your turn.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Maria Cabanillas, and I'm the person in charge of the promotion of the destination of Extremadura for the Benelux and the French market. First of all, I would like to thank for sure Travel Magazine for organizing these webinars, and also to the Spanish Tourist Office there in Brussels for the good job that they are making during this, well, always, but also during these months. Thank you to Rafael, and thank you to Judith, but also to all the colleagues working there. Of course, I would like to thank everybody who is attending this webinar, in which we will have the opportunity to present you such an incredible region in Spain that is my region, Extremadura. And well, as you all know, we are in the middle of a second wave of this terrible pandemic, but it seems that figures in Spain and also in Extremadura are starting to give us a kind of hope. For example, when yesterday in Spain we had more or less 8,000 cases of COVID, in Extremadura we had just 82. So figures are really good. Let's keep this way. And now I'm going to give the floor to Marco Mangut. He will make an approach of this beautiful region of the bitter track in Spain, where you will be able to keep the social distance for sure, and disconnect in one of the best preserved landscape in Europe. So thank you very much, Marco. Whenever you want.
Okay, can you hear me? Yes? Okay. Good morning, everyone. Goedemorgen. Bonjour à tous. As they said, my name is Marco, and I've been working as a tour guide in the region for the last 21 years. And I have the honor to represent my region here in this webinar and being the one in charge of introducing you to our beautiful region, Extremadura. Just let me first to open a presentation we've got it here, sorry. I've got it, I should go, oops, I don't know why, okay, great. So just give me 1 second, no.
Descubre lugares.
Sorry, I just want to go to the end, but I'm not allowed to do it. There you go. Okay, sorry, I've got it from the beginning, sorry. Just give me just 1 more second. Okay, I think I've got it here. Yeah, there you go. So I have it in here. I'm sorry. I think you can see, can you see it well now? Yeah, okay, great. So this is one of the first photos we can see, which also shows what Maria was saying. We are a great nature destination. And if you have a look to this map, you can probably locate our region, Extremadura, in the map of Spain. As you can see, we are in the middle of what we call a golden triangle between Lisbon, Madrid, and Seville, which are actually the 3 closest airports that you can reach Extremadura. We are only a couple of hours from Madrid, a couple of hours from Lisbon, and another couple of hours from Seville. Although we also have a little airport in Extremadura running regular flights to Madrid and Barcelona. That could be another good option for reaching the region. And if you have a look to the figure of the area, Extremadura is slightly bigger than Belgium and more or less as big as the Netherlands, so 41,000 square kilometers, but there's a tiny difference. On that area, in the Netherlands, they've got around 17 million inhabitants. In Extremadura, we only have a little bit over 1 million inhabitants, which in times of pandemic like now is a great news, especially because we keep the distance. I mean, you can travel around the region without finding great masses of people here and there. So distances are huge, and that allows tourism to move around without actually finding a lot of people. You know that in Spain, we've got regions, and those regions are divided into provinces. We've got Cáceres in the north, where I am, by the way, and Badajoz in the south, although the capital is only the 3rd largest city in the region, called Mérida. And not only we've got the airports close to the region to reach Extremadura, we have a great network of highways crossing the region, which are the ones you can see in green in the map, and also a train from Madrid and from Seville, and especially from the capital, from Madrid. Fortunately, I was reading in the local newspaper this morning that the line, the brand new line with Madrid, will be open in less than 1 year. So they are really good news for the region and for tourism. It is actually part of a high-speed train between Madrid and Lisbon. So partially that will be open, hopefully 2021. Talking about the climate in the region, although many people think that Extremadura dues its name to our extreme climate with very cold winters and very hot summers, I have good news for you. It is true that our summers are really hot, which is something really Spanish, by the way, but we have really beautiful winters in here. Actually, the average temperature in winter here is around 7 degrees. But for example, today, we have a beautiful sunny day. We have over 300 days a year with sun and light in the region, which is great. And our winters are not really cold. I still remember the last time I saw snow here in my hometown was 10 years ago, 2010, and only lasted 1 day. So it was like a great event in town to see the snow for the first time in 27 years. So great winters, nice springs and autumns. For me, my favorite seasons in the region because of the colors and the climate, and then hot summers as we might expect in a region of Spain. But talking about the cities of Extremadura, I can tell you that the biggest one is the city of Badajoz, that you can see on the low left corner. Is a town with nearly 150,000 inhabitants. So this is the biggest we've got in the region. And it is a city mainly known because of its beautiful fortress built in Moorish times. You can see just behind the picture one of the octagonal towers being part of the walled area of Badajoz. And then the other biggest city is where I live, Cáceres, which is one of the 3 World Heritage sites we've got in Extremadura. 100,000 inhabitants. This is the population of Cáceres, a great medieval town, together with Plasencia and Trujillo, and also probably one of the big spots in the region is Mérida, the capital of the region, because of the Roman remains. And also we cannot forget Zafra at the very south of the region, that shows already the great influence of Andalusia, which is a region that we are neighbors. Actually, in a region with 300 kilometers from north to south, you can tell the difference as you move south or you move north, with the greatest influence of northern regions in the northern of Extremadura and the great influence of Andalusia in the very south of our region. The other World Heritage spot we've got in the region, together with the Roman remains of Mérida and the medieval town of Cáceres, it's Guadalupe. That maybe rings a bell with Mexico, but you shouldn't forget that everything to do with the cult of the Virgin of Guadalupe began in this hidden corner of Extremadura, a beautiful Gothic Mudéjar monastery that 700, 600 years ago, when everything began down there, it was the second pilgrimage center in Castile, in what we more or less can call Spain, after Santiago de Compostela, widely and worldly known. And as I told you before, it is the World Heritage Site, one of the 3 we've got in the region. But without any doubt, what links us to the Netherlands, and especially, the Netherlands, to Belgium and all the area where you come from, is the little monastery of Yuste, simply because a man that was born in Ghent in Belgium called Charles V decided to move when he abdicated in Brussels in 1556 and move from the Flemish harbor of Vlissingen into the northern part of Spain, and then walking during 2.5 months reached to this hidden treasure of Extremadura, where he wished to spend the last days of his life. What he couldn't expect is that that was going to last only 1.5 years, as he arrived in 1557, and finally he unfortunately passed away September 1558. But that's one of the greatest spots we've got in the region. Although it's not a World Heritage Site, it's something really worth being visited, and for Belgians, probably one of the great connections we've got with your country, thanks to the Emperor Charles V. We've got many cultural roots. We have to think that being on the southwestern part of the Iberian Peninsula, every single people arriving to Spain was living or going through the region. The bridge you can see in the picture, by the way, has a funny story. That bridge was obviously over a river, but over that river they built a dam in 1960. So they took one by one every single stone of that bridge and was moved 1 kilometer away from its original location, just to keep it away from the artificial lake created when they built the dam in 1960-69. It is one of the highlights of one of the routes crossing the region, because obviously Christians living in the southern part of the Iberian Peninsula were crossing Extremadura from medieval times on their way to Santiago de Compostela. Don't forget, there were many Christians living in Muslim territories in medieval times, and they obviously were looking the route, the shortest one to Santiago de Compostela, and that was obviously through Extremadura. But probably what makes us more famous worldwide is everything to do with those conquistadors, with those discoverers going to the New World. The one we've got in the picture is Pizarro, the one who was able to reach the Inca Empire. He was born in a tiny, charming town in Extremadura called Trujillo, and they honor him at the main square with this statue. That was, by the way, a gift of an American sculptor. Maybe you've seen another statue like this one in Lima, Peru. There's a copy there. And there's a third in a much more amazing place in a city called Buffalo by New York in the United States, just because the sculptor who cast this statue in bronze, 1920, was born in there, and he wanted to have a copy in his hometown. It makes a great difference to be in between skyscrapers and to be here in Trujillo on that beautiful main square, which is considered one of the most beautiful ones in Spain. Also, I'm talking about those people living in the region. We have a great Jewish settlement. And in this case, you are having a look to a play, a representation taking place every single summer in the northern town of Hervás, where there was a great Jewish population until 1492, when they were expelled by Isabella, the Catholic, the Queen. And they are the neighbors of the village themselves, the one becoming actors and representing how that fact happened in medieval times, and having the river like a sort of stage. And with the orchestra, we've got from where we took the picture, that's where we've got the public, and on the other side of the bank of the river, we've got the stage where neighbors represent several times in the summer that history of how the Jews were expelled or even converted. Actually, the name of this play is Los Conversos, which is the name we give it in Spanish to those converted Jews that prefer to become Christians before leaving the place where they were born. But also in such a big region, we have a lot of hidden treasures. This is probably one of the most extraordinary places to discover in Extremadura. Is a little chapel at the very south of Extremadura called Fuente del Arco. And it's one of those surprises you can come across every time you go around the region, which is one of the charms of Extremadura. Not only is already very unknown outside of the Spanish borders, but also even for us, there are still many secrets kept in little villages like Fuente del Arco, which is the picture we can see here. But one of the main attractions of the region are these special festivals. Some of them, like the one you can see in the picture, that comes back in time. What you see in there is a man, usually a young man between 20 and 30 years, that walks around the village dressed in such a strange way, like playing the drum, while people are actually attacking him with turnips. Which is a vegetable that we call navet en français, and that we call rap in Flemish. It sounds a little bit strange, but the origin of the village of the festival comes from very old times, in medieval times, where murders and burglars were actually killed by people with stones. But obviously, the festival evolved to these really modern way to do it. And for the youngsters in the village, is a great honor to be a jarramplas, which is the name we give to these men, once in their lifetime. So from the very moment they are born, they are actually written down in a list, so that in 18 or 20 years later, they will have the honor to represent the village dressed this way, as I told you, once in a lifetime. It is also the site of one of the most important festivals or carnivals in Spain. They are very widely known, the one on the Canary Islands, and in Spain, the one in Cádiz, in the southern part of Spain. And Badajoz is considered the third most important carnival in Spain. And thousands of people take part in a huge parade on a Saturday every single carnival, except in this year, unfortunately, for everything that's happened. But although it's carnival is very important in the region, we also have several festivals along the year. Probably in Cáceres, the most important one is WOMAD. These are the initials of World of Music, Art and Dance. It is a festival invented by a British musician called Peter Gabriel, and he wanted Cáceres to be its host in Spain. And every single third weekend in May, Cáceres is taken by ethnic music, and over 100,000 people, we double the population in the streets of the old town, come from all over the world to listen to the music held in the stages in the old town. Los Palomos was a funny coincidence because of a politician in the city, in Badajoz, that became the biggest LHTBI-friendly festival in the region, probably one of the most important ones all over Spain. And then everything to do with folklore has its destination in the southern part of Extremadura, in Fregenal de la Sierra. But no doubt that the greatest festival held in Extremadura takes place in summer, July and August. Obviously from 10:45, 11 p.m. There's no other hour of the day where we can do anything in the Roman theater. It would be like too hot. But then the night, these plays becomes really magical. And we still use the Roman theater, probably the best preserved one in Europe outside of Italy, in order to represent different plays. And as you can see in this beautiful picture, capacity for over 3,000 people on that Roman theater today. Also, in a region that has kept so well everything to do with history, it is not a big surprise to find out that it's been chosen for filming many movies. Probably the biggest one ever filmed in the region happened nearly 30 years ago. Maybe some of you remember a movie called 1492, The Discovery of Paradise by Ridley Scott, that was starred by a Russian actor called Gérard Depardieu. He played the role of Columbus on that movie. That was shot in Extremadura, but nowadays everybody recognizes Game of Thrones, and 4 years ago they were filming in Extremadura. Actually, the shoot we can see right now on the screen is the castle of Trujillo that became the castle of Lannister in Game of Thrones, and Cáceres, for example, became King's Landing, also on the 7th episode of this famous series. In a region so attached to the land and so traditional, the essence of the authentic has to do with many products. We are a great agricultural region, so we still have a lot of products really authentic in the region. And probably the king of our gastronomy is the Iberian pig, this beautiful animal that we use for many purposes, and it has a mean to do because of the landscape where he uses to live, that I'm going to show you later on. But not only everything has to do with pork, we have 11 designation of origin products and 4 protected geographical indications to do with different products that I would like to display. Again, Iberian ham is probably the king of gastronomy in Extremadura. Please don't confuse this with Serrano ham. Serrano ham, which is widely known outside of Spain, is one thing, and Iberian ham, which is this one, it's something completely different. Obviously, we also have cheeses. Don't forget that Extremadura was a region where the great flocks of sheep of Castile in medieval times came over to spend the winter. And that's why sheep cheeses are the most important ones, being La Torta del Casal, which is the first one from the left, and the Queso de la Serena in the middle, the most representative ones. And the third we can see on the top right, it is a goat cheese. No cow's cheeses in Extremadura. We are focused mainly on goat and cheese and sheep cheeses, like the ones we can see in the picture. In the third region with the biggest production of olive oil, it is not really strange that we have 2 DOPs to do with olive oil, Gata Urdes in the north and Monterrubio in the south. And another key product of our gastronomy is pimenton, or paprika, as we know it in the rest of the world. What makes these red gold so valuable is the way they still produce it, as they did it hundreds of years ago. We don't dry the peppers on the sun. We dry it in like smoke houses with coal coming from oak trees, and it's not also dried but also smoked before being milled, and that what makes that this paprika has a special smell, and obviously taste is different. At the very north of Extremadura, we have a valley called Jerte, and that's the house to another DOP called Cereza del Jerte, the cherry of Jerte. Look at the picture on the right and you can discover how this valley turns white, usually at the end of March, beginning of April, because 2 million cherry trees are blooming at the same time, which is one of the greatest shows of spring in Extremadura. Slow food in a region where everything happens so quiet, it's probably one of the best places to do it. It is a region where we usually travel with no hurries, and that also includes slow food, enjoying food with pleasure and with friends. And now when times are so hard, also with everything open, we were talking about that before. In here, things are actually going really better. And with some restrictions, of course, our restaurants and hotels are still unluckily opened in Extremadura. Probably that's something that might surprise you, but Extremadura has one of the biggest vineyards areas of Europe, actually the second one, being the first one in Spain too, by the way. And Ribera del Guadiana obviously creates a route in order to discover the DOP Ribera del Guadiana, but also this is one of the very few places in Spain where we produce cava. Cava is the Spanish version of champagne, and there are very few places in the country, especially Catalonia, but outside of Catalonia, one of the DOPs that can be called cava is in Extremadura, around the city of wine in our region called Almendralejo. Wellness in Extremadura is also really nice, where tourism is not in a rush. You can relax in one of these spas we've got in the region. There are actually 6. This is a picture of one of the 2 that we still use from Roman times, as at the very north of the region, called Baños de Montemayor, and you can still have a bath where the Romans used to do it over 2,000 years ago, which is a great privilege. In a region with such a big surface and very few population, is nothing really strange to discover one of the best preserved natural heritage places in Spain. These 4 ones we can see in the picture belong to the UNESCO list. The first one is Monfragüe, which is the only national park we've got in the limits of Extremadura. Then the very first international biosphere reserve in Europe is the one in the Tagus River. One side, one bank is Portugal, the other one is Spain, and then Siberia and Villuercas in the eastern part of the region, with great attractions to do with geology, like the geopark, and also the biosphere reserve with many dams. Because although it's hard to believe, this region, considered by many people like one of the driest ones in Spain, shows a beautiful green aspect today, and also we keep biggest amounts of water because of many dams and the 2 main rivers of the Iberian Peninsula crossing the region. For bird watchers, Extremadura is a paradise. 74% of the region is classified as important bird areas, and it's easily to find over 350 bird species in our region. The one in the picture is the king of birds in Extremadura, the griffon vulture, together with black vulture. And if we go back a little bit on my explanation, I was talking about the Iberian ham and the pigs, and the reason why, not only because of the breed, which is very important, this Iberian ham is so great, it's because of the landscape where they used to live, which is La Dehesa, this kind of clear forest of oak trees, because acorn is the main feed or the main food for Iberian pigs. So the combination of the breed, the landscape, the way they live, because they are not in a farm, but they walk around these trees eating everything they found in the landscape, it is what makes that product to be so excellent. And in Extremadura, we've got 183,000 hectares of forests and mountains to do with that distinctive landscape, which is the Dehesa. Birding, I was telling before, in Extremadura, it's a real paradise and is one of the most desired destinations for bird watchers. In fact, we celebrate in February one of the highest fairs of bird watching called FIO. Feria Internacional de Ornitología in Spanish, and that takes place in the national park I mentioned before of Monfragüe. Natural routes here and there, especially the northern part of the region with those mountains, and 70,000 kilometers of public roads, and also hiking through the greenways, many of them created from abandoned railways. In this part of Spain, well, actually all over Spain, but in here we've got a lot of railway lines that were abandoned, and now they have become really green ways to cross the region, and obviously for all kinds of people, because they are really easy to walk. I was talking about the water. 1/3 of the drinking water of Spain is stored in Extremadura in its dams. They are so big that we even have ships and waves in them, as they are like inner seas in the region. And this is the Embalse de Orellana, one of the biggest ones, but 1,500 kilometers of freshwater coast in Extremadura, which was the first one to have blue flag beach inland in Spain, which is something really amazing. In all these landscapes, active tourism is also possible. As you can see, we've got a wide range of outdoors activities. And in a so few polluted region, starlight destination becomes really important in Extremadura. This picture, fabulous one, was taken in one of those dams I was mentioning before, bordering Spain and Portugal, the Lake of Alqueva, the second biggest one in Europe, where you can enjoy the star landscape as in many other places in the region. And just to resume and to sum up, I would like to show you a video to do with the region that resumes, as I was saying before, everything I have been telling you today. So just go and have a look to the video.
Descubre lugares. Lugares que quizás hayas imaginado, pero que aún no has encontrado. Aquellos que ni siquiera han sido pisados. Explóralos. Bueno, mejor vívelos. Imagina un lugar, otra cultura. Otra época, rincones cargados de historia pidiendo a gritos ser escuchados. Maravillas levantadas hace siglos y que vieron pasar generaciones, pero que ahora parecen abrirse solo para ti. Imagina escenas que solo con mirarlas dejan huella. ¿Conocías esos colores? ¿Y esos olores? Imagina la hierba mojada en tus pies. Sigue, sube más alto. Respira profundo. Vibra, salta, baila, vive. En lugares así no pierdes el tiempo, lo ganas. Exprime cada rincón caminando, pero también con los ojos y las manos. Solo así apreciarás los detalles. Imagina grandes sabores y explora sus pequeños matices. Descubre aromas capaces de emocionar. Sigue una ruta o improvísala. ¿Qué más da? Imagínalo todo o no te imagines nada. Sumérgete y siéntete a miles de kilómetros de distancia, aunque en realidad no estés tan lejos. Extremadura. Todo lo que imaginas, donde no te lo imaginas.
Okay, that was all from my side. Thank you very much. Dank u wel. Merci beaucoup. A nice day at your disposition for the questions you might have. Thank you very much. Gracias.
Thank you. Gracias, Marco. What an impressive presentation, indeed. I go back to you, Marco, or to Maria, with the first question. What about the hotel situation for the people, the clients coming all over Europe in the various periods of the year? Do you have small boutique hotels? Are they big ones? Are they open now? What is the situation? What is the kind of hotels you provide for the overland, for the tourists coming by car, I guess, because he has to drive and to walk? And how is the situation now? Are hotels and restaurants open?
Yes, as Marco said before, nearly most of the hotels and restaurants are open in Extremadura these days. Well, we know that the situation is changing day by day. but we have a wide range of different hotels in Extremadura. We have from paradors, hospederias, that is like paradors, but at a regional level. And it's true that this chain is closed. They have, I think, around 8 hotels, and they are now closed. But we also have other hotels where you can go. We have private but big hotels, and also boutique hotels. All around Extremadura you can find them, and we also have rural apartments, rural houses where you can live another kind of experience. But the options are very high, and we can send the information to everybody that may need it. Okay.
And I would like to say something. I know that paradors of Spain are really popular among non-Spanish people. So there are a lot of non-Spanish people traveling around paradors. In Extremadura, we've got 7, and the province of Cáceres count with 5, which is the only province in Spain, together with Malaga, with such big amount of paradors. So the range of going through paradors from north to south and from east to west is really big. And as Maria was saying before, here in my hometown in Cáceres, 90% of hotels are open and functioning. And this summer, it is true that most of tourism has been national. I also had some people coming by car from Belgium, from Italy, from France, and from Portugal, and arriving and staying in the region without any problem, and probably enjoying more than an usual year because there was almost nobody. So there are no restrictions. Restaurants are open until midnight, so nothing happens, and hotels obviously are open. Now in Spain, you cannot leave the hotel from 12 midnight till 6 in the morning, but the rest of the day you are free to do whatever you want to do.
Coming back to the nationalities, what are the big nationalities coming every, let's say, pre-corona to Extremadura? What about Belgian and Luxembourg clientele? And second, what are the Belgian and Luxembourg clients looking for when they come to Extremadura?
Yes, I can tell the figures, and after that, maybe Marco can make an introduction about your clients. While you are there in the streets, and you have another perspective. Okay, Marco. Mm-hmm. For Extremadura, the most important client is the Portuguese market, and after that, the French market. Well, Belgium is I think it's the 7th or the 8th. I'm not sure. And Luxembourg, it's much smaller.
It's part of Belgium.
Yeah.
The statistics.
Yeah.
From my experience, when I work with Belgium clients, it depends on the season. But in spring, I have a lot of bird watchers, people coming over for bird watching in the region, and then a lot of people following the path of Charles V, and obviously willing to know the culture. Belgians are big travelers, and especially those who have been already to the major hotspots of Spain, like Madrid, Barcelona, Sevilla, Cordoba, Granada. They just want a little bit more. And it is true that we can see more and more Belgian tourism here looking for the real Spain, and obviously that connection we've got through Charles V. So they know more and more that connection, and they obviously come over to find those routes and also to discover the rest of the region.
And do you have DMCs working with special formats for tour operators or specialized independent travel agents to make kind of package for their clients?
Yes, I do have some. But you know what I've seen? It's that they use Spanish companies in order to make it much easier, and very few companies from Belgium talk to me directly. It is through Spanish
DMCs, incoming
yeah,
tourist.
there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it works.
It does. It actually works very well. Yeah.
So I guess the most clients you get from Belgium and Luxembourg is between spring and autumn.
Yeah. From March to June and from September to November.
If I see the riches of Extremadura and the variety, I'm flabbergasted by even by professional standards as we are in the travel industry, by the non-knowledge. We do not know Extremadura. I think Extremadura has to take, let's say, a jump or two in international marketing to become more known. We don't know Extremadura.
It's true. You have to think that today, our non-Spanish tourism is around 15 to 20% only. So 80% of tourism is national. And the ones coming from outside, they are really very few if we relate with other regions of Spain. But I think that the ones arriving here are really high quality travelers. And that's a strong point for the region. The ones coming into here are people really interested in what we can offer. And they are people who have a great experience on traveling, and they are looking for something real. And the fact of specialization in this kind of tourism, it's making that the experience of people leaving, because we make some surveys at the end, is really, really high. And that's the most important thing. Probably it is not that important to have a lot of people, but having really good people coming to the region, because I'm sure that if we become another massive destination of Spain, the charm of the region will be lost.
Well, you need the quality of the traveler, of course, coming to your region. Is there also an important point to stress? You're on the way, as you said, between Sevilla, Madrid and Lisbon. Is your area not important for the quality traveler going or coming back by car from Lisboa or from Portugal? That's one. And two, how are most of the tourists coming to Extremadura? By plane, the international ones, I mean, or by car?
Maria or I?
Yeah. Whatever. I can't answer that question because I'm not sure the percentage of the people coming by car or by plane. But it's true that we receive many tourists from Lisbon. The best option that the international tourists do is to go, for example, from Brussels to Madrid or Seville, and after that, renting a car, discover the region by car, and going back to take the plane. And
I think there's a big difference between tourists or travelers coming in a group or coming by themselves. For those coming by themselves, I think that the best option is a car. Nice routes, not a lot of traffic. So I think that's a very good option. But when I work with groups, and the last group I made before all this happened was a group from Belgium, from Brussels. And I think it was Club d'Histoire in Brussels. They were with me during 1 week in Extremadura, and they flew to Madrid. And going through Toledo, we were in Extremadura for a whole week, and then they went back by bus to Madrid, and they flew back to Brussels. So usually it's this. Sometimes I have groups entering through Madrid and leaving through Lisbon, which is also great, because as we are just in the middle, they just cross the region, and we are a great excuse, if we can call it that way, from going from Madrid to Lisbon and staying most of the times in the region.
So what is important is that you're stressing or referring to the coach, to buses. So coaches are a predominant factor to visit Extremadura because, as you said, the nature, the birds, cultural background. So it makes all a little bit different from the traditional Spanish city trips culture or gastronomy or whatever. I mean, Extremadura must, if I see and look at your geography, lean itself very well to coach trips within Extremadura.
What could you please?
That Extremadura geography is perfectly suitable for coaches to make trips within Extremadura, birds, nature, culture, etc., which is all different from the more classic, let's say, classic Basque or Andalusian or Valencian or Catalan areas.
Yeah, and especially because as the roads take you so fast all over the region, they're really, really good. You can be visiting Cáceres, which is, let's say, a big city in the morning, and then you take the bus, and in less than 1 hour, you can be in the middle of nowhere, the nature in the National Park of Monfragüe. So what many people do is just to have a central point in the region, and they make excursions every day, and in a range of 1.5 hours, you can find completely different landscapes and things to do.
Today, we know that Spain is asking and requesting now for everybody coming to Spain a special test, COVID test. That's the same, of course, for Extremadura. What about wearing of the mouth mask? What about walking around in the streets?
Do you mean if you can walk in the streets?
With, I mean, you can walk with mouth mask compulsory, or
no,
restaurants open?
It is actually compulsory. You have to wear the mask outside, outdoor, and indoor. Once you leave your house, the place where you are, if you are actually in a place with some people you don't know, you are obliged to wear your mask. Yeah.
Okay. But to walk in the street?
Too.
Also?
Yeah, from a long time, by the way.
Okay. And to go to a restaurant, restaurants are open, bars are open.
Until
when you are sitting, you don't have to wear it.
Obviously, while you are drinking and eating, you can remove it, obviously. But if you want to go, for example, in a bar or a restaurant to the loo, you have to wear your mask from your table to the loo, and then just removing it when you are back on your table.
Maria, it's in concordance, of course, with Turespaña. Are you looking for specific activities or actions or promotions for Extremadura tomorrow when the vaccine is there and you are starting again to promote Extremadura on our international market?
We are very interested in promoting Extremadura in Belgium and in Luxembourg, because we think we have a region with many resources that I'm sure that Belgian people and Luxembourg people will appreciate. Imagine that thanks to the natural resources, for example, you can go everywhere, and I'm sure that, well, it's quite difficult. You will find a person, so people may feel comfortable this way, and I think this is a potential that we need to keep practicing to improve the promotion in this sense. And of course, the gastronomy and all the activities, the cultural activities that you can do. You can do outdoors, you know.
Okay, I would say thank you to you both, Maria and Marco. We still have a little bit of time, but as you said, mentioned earlier, Extremadura is a region looking for quality. So we had, I must say, it's a 6th presentation we have with the region of Spain, and both of you have very clear. Very clear. And before we would like to wrap up, maybe a few questions still. And there I am supported by the hidden and always omnipresent Jonas. He will support me for the questions.
Yes, I would like to give the word to Judith, because I think Judith has seen some more questions. Thank you.
Yeah, somebody is asking, Doreen is asking, she wants to get more information about gastronomy and hiking. And she precisely asks if there's hiking tours point to point where the luggage is transported.
I've done it. I've done it with groups from Scandinavia. I had a group that loved trekking, and they came every single year, and I made different tours. There are people making the pilgrimage route of Santiago through the Silver Route, which is the Roman road. And obviously there's that service available. So you begin to walk and you're actually collected at the end of your route. I've done it. And then with that Scandinavian group, I made, for example, from the Parador of Jarandilla, where Charles V was sleeping, to the monastery where he finally stayed. And we also made the same. There was, we began at the Parador, at the hotel, and there was somebody waiting for us at the end of the route. So yes, it is done, and through really beautiful landscapes of the region, yeah.
Somebody is asking for addresses and names or websites for DMCs in the region, but I think through the help of Judith, the travel professionals can inform themselves. Other questions, Jonas? I don't see.
Yes, somebody's asking if English is a common language in the travel industry in the region.
Okay.
In hotels, everybody speaks English. Obviously, we tour guides, we do speak English too, of course. And then in the bars, probably that's not that common, because as I told you before, we don't have a lot of foreign tourism, but things are actually improving. And it's surprisingly that you might find people speaking French too. And obviously, but it doesn't match to you. There are a lot of people, because of proximity, speaking Portuguese in the region too.
For those who like to have names, websites, or addresses of DMCs and other programs, you can contact, of course, Maria and Marco.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's thanks all our friends, panelists have been numerous today, and our two excellent top breed presenters, Maria Cabanillas and Marco Mangut. Thank you very much to everybody. We go for the last webinar with Turespaña early December, and that will be Ibiza on the 9th of December. Gracias, hasta la vista, and see you in Extremadura. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.